air phase. So gonna be interesting to see what he chooses. But we are good to go. cHobo down 3 games to 2 here in this best out of 7 series. This is game 6 here. cHobo is trying to recover, force a game 7, a final game 7. mouzMorroW, of course, he's trying to finish the 4-game momentum and trying to finish it off 4-2 in favor of his advantage, as he is on a 3-game winning streak after starting off losing the first 2 games. So it is 3-2 in favor of mouzMorroW. And here we go. It looks like we both loaded in. Just waiting on the spectators now. And eventually we'll get in there. But it is going to be a scrap station, of course. This one chosen by cHobo, as he lost on the last map. Once again. Void race, void race, void race. I'm going to keep saying it until it happens.
I hope so. So we see here mouzMorroW spawning on the right hand of this map scrap station as the red Terran, and cHobo as the blue Protoss, of course, on the left hand here of this. And I really would love some, as you said, void race. I really would prefer them as much as we could to see a little bit more deviation from the games. And it depends on what I think mouzMorroW is gonna do in the beginning. Maybe you're gonna opt for a little bit containment or some funky marine pressure again. But on this map, as you can see, this is a long distance to run for early aggression. There are just two rocks in the middle of the map. There's no chance to take them down in any early time. So the only ground way to your opponent is around this Xel'Naga watch show in the middle, and this is really long to run.
Yeah. And again, going back to my void ray talk, it obviously leaves you vulnerable to a very early push attack from the opposing player. In this case, though, again, mouzMorroW, he has not shown any signs of early aggressive play, really, other than that. I believe he did do he has applied a little bit of pressure. That was at least the Terran versus Terran matchup, though. I don't think he's necessarily applied early pressure to cHobo in this series, from what I can recall. So as far as cHobo is concerned, you know, he doesn't necessarily need to worry about that, and that's even more reason why I think the Void Rays would definitely be a very, very valuable pickup in this situation, especially with mouzMorroW going for a more so Marauder build rather than the Marines, and showing no signs of teching into air defense as well, in terms of air units at least. So, yeah, cHobo, though, we'll see how he reacts. He does have an early assimilator, very, very standard, like we always see. So, as expected, as far as mouzMorrow's concerned, again, his frag's just about finished right here. The scout's already going on. In fact, for cHobo, as far as mouzMorrow's concerned, he's scouting a little bit later on. We have seen from him as well. But cHobo, of course, will see the racks as mouzMorroW not trying to hide it this time, but he is spawning a Marine, and we'll be able to take out this probe as soon as it comes out. As far as the SCV from mouzMorroW, it's now on its way. Still waiting for something crazy. Cybernetics core coming out from cHobo, so after this Cybernetics core, we'll definitely get an idea of what he chooses to do here. Whether or not he starts to build up more gateways, of course, going for 2 more gateways as we've seen from him, or, you know, get a secret pylon up here, or pylon back here, and get an eventual Stargate up, or excuse me, not a Stargate. Wow, I just totally blanked on the name of the Protoss air.
Happens,
Anyways.
Absolutely. Yeah, so we see standard opening so far. Cybernetics core is up. I really would like to see some play here. What cHobo has in mind for this match here. And there is a factory coming in the back of mouzMorrow's base, as you can see, trying to hide it as best as he can. Going for a second refinery, maybe going for a higher mech build. Your siege tanks are also really powerful on this matchup. If it just comes down to one choke here in the end, but Xel'Naga or the rocks in the middle, where you can to defend this with the nice choke here, setting up some bunkers. But here we see a second gateway from cHobo. Unfortunately, no void rays here coming out from him. I would really love to see that kind of early, better white war openings, as you could notice them. But unfortunately, people don't like void rays anymore for any kind of reason. I don't know. I still love them really much. And so we see a factory and a starport, a 1-on-1 build opening with a second starport here coming by mouzMorroW. So this could be maybe double banshees, as we see already a techlet coming up for the factory. So we're probably gonna switch at least one of those starports with a techlab and maybe getting a Viking out for the second one.
Yeah, you know, the probe harassment has definitely been helped. It helped mouzMorroW be victorious. I believe it was game 4. Yeah, I believe it was game 4, obviously, where that harassment really won him the game. And, you know, he's going to take advantage of this placement of this map right here in Scrap Station, you know, being so close in the air phase like I keep talking about. the Banshees will be able to get over here very, very shortly. We see CHobo setting up the pylons around his base just in case he has to expect that, but it is smart because he definitely should expect that. As his tech lab is finished, as you expected, you see one of the starports going to the tech lab and the other one going to the other tech lab. So a very good use of the factory right here from mouzMorroW, and now mouzMorroW saying, well, you've done your job, factory. Now you can go sacrifice yourself for vision purposes. On base of CHobo, the Protoss player. You see CHobo actually scouting out the expansion just in case if anything is placed there yet, but nothing. But here come the Banshees. No sign of Looming Cloak just yet. Fairly expensive, obviously 200. Not something you can invest in if you really want to get into it, but we'll see if he starts investing into that cloak. But 2 Banshees coming out first. You see the factory coming in right here, just really giving himself an idea of what he is up against. And as you can see, he sees the robotics facility, now creating something. Of course, he's not sure what, but it is going to be an immortal, as we can see. The army right now for CHobo, you know, not the greatest, but it's kind of the same thing for mouzMorroW at the same time. All he has is 8 Marines, but now with those 2 Banshees, and he is sending the Banshees down to these destructible rocks, so he's going to actually go try to make the short route for himself here at these destructible rocks, and rather than using these Banshees to harass, he's just going to flat out use them to stick with his army, so a little bit interesting choice in that.
Exactly, and I'm not quite sure if this is the best idea here, breaking down the rocks by himself, since I think the Protoss army is a little bit more skillful here than just a couple of Marines mouzMorroW has and the Banshees. I think maybe just use the Banshees here in there, using them for harass, and you see both players want to have the rocks down, and I can understand CHobo since he has a bigger ground army, so he can have a faster track to go in there. So did he see those Vikings? I think he can at least hear them. Maybe he's pulling back. He sees there's only 2 Stalkers in his mix and a couple of Sentries, so won't do that much damage here to those Banshees. You already have 4 Banshees in the field and can do a lot of damage, especially those Zealots. Unfortunately cannot swipe into the air, and those Immortals cannot shoot up. So it could be
Immortals. Sorry,
go ahead.
The Immortals, so it's unfortunate for CHobo because, like we've been saying the last couple of games, it seems like they would have been so useful against the main Marauder style army, but this time around, Immortals were not the smartest choice, and well, that was just lack of vision on his part. He was expecting a very similar strategy. As a result, he's definitely he paid for it with building a couple of Immortals here, who again, obviously they're going to be useful against these Marines, and we'll be able to pick them off and whatnot, be tanks for his team. But he definitely could have invested those resources a little bit more wisely into more Stalkers. Obviously, would have been beneficial against all of these Banshees. Now 4 Banshees currently, and more, and I make that 6 Banshees. And in fact, here comes the charge, leaving the SCVs lead the way. A decent spread right here from CHobo, putting out the sentry fields, trapping a couple of SCVs. Not really much though. But he is giving some, and that's actually a barrier for these Marines to sit back and try to pick off some Zealots for the time being. But now we see the Banshees pushing out in front. They do not have cloak just yet. Another nice field right there, blocking out the Marines, trying to pick off these Banshees. But the pressure is on CHobo right now. Here comes the Guardian field. The Immortals, 3 Immortals now leading the way. They are out in front, trying to tank these Marines, trying to push them back. These Banshees, though, good job microing them. Losing one right there. May lose another. It's just a Stalker Immortal army right now for CHobo. They're just going at it. Both players just going at it all into this fight pretty much. You see it using those Banshees, trying to pick out the Stalkers. He's going to finish the last Stalker right there, and now this makes the Immortals, of course, very, very vulnerable. They're just going to be picked off. A couple more Stalkers coming in right here, but they're also going to be picked off. Good focus fire by mouzMorroW, and now this is where CHobo is going to start falling behind. Again, he's keeping the Immortals coming. I don't know what he's thinking, to be honest. He needs to be spending those resources on Stalkers, as far as I'm concerned. Stalkers Zealots would make a lot more sense, but he's not doing that. Instead, he's keeping the Immortals coming. And he has 4 Immortals right here against a couple of Banshees. He takes out 1, but loses a Stalker, loses another Stalker, loses 1 more, loses all of his Stalkers. And mouzMorroW is going to go cutthroat right here. We see a GG, and it looks like that's going to do it. mouzMorroW will be victorious, 4 games to 2, and he will take down the 50-year-olds. Well played, though. CHobo, you know, again, he led 2 games to nothing. It looked very impressive early on, but mouzMorroW just showed his perseverance, showed his experience, ended up winning the last 4 games, and took the series 4 games to 2.